Well, folks, we've got a new patch in Marvel Snap as expected today, bringing with it friendly battles. We've got some balance changes we're going to talk about, of course, nerf and a buff in this case, and some other cards you might have expected to see, which you won't, but we'll talk about that too. And we've got some general quality of life updates for the game as well. So before we dive deep into these patch notes, first and foremost, I wanted to take a look at the balance updates, and I thought it might help to look at these visually instead of having to pour through all of this text. So I've teleported and prepared some nice little slides for us here. Leader is getting a really significant change, going from a 6-3. Remember, he started at 6-4, got nerfed to 6-3. They teased there will be some more nerfs in the future. Now he's going to be a 6-7, but his effect has changed pretty dramatically. Now it reads, on reveal, copy all cards your opponent played to the location to the right, but on your side. So that does not mean the rightmost location. That means the location to the right of where you play your leader. So kind of like the claw will affect the location to the right. The leader now is going to target that location to the right, which of course, serving as a single location in this case makes him, a little weaker there. He's not getting all three locations. So you have to be very strategic, and you have to predict where your opponent is likely going to be putting power, and even more so probably throughout the game, manipulate to some extent a lane where you're expecting your leader to make a big impact. Like, okay, I'm going to make sure they're playing that big card in this location on the final turn, and that's how I'm going to use my leader. Because if they play to the left, I can't use the leader because there is no location where the leftmost location is right of the leader, of course, much like the claw has to only affect those two right locations. Now, on top of that, though, the leader is getting a buff to his stats. So he's getting that natural +4. So he's going to be able to contest a lane a little bit better on his own. So in some ways, this is obviously a nerf because he's moving from 3 lanes to 1 lane as far as what he's going to make an impact on. But since he's getting this nice stat bump himself, I actually kind of think this makes the leader viable again. I don't know that he's going to be bad necessarily, because that's just enough stats, I think, to contribute and contest and shore up a location that you're already winning, while still, of course, giving you that leader effect in a different location. And particularly if you're doing things like revealing second and copying your opponent's already like buffed or unrevealed cards or whatever it might be. If they play a Wolfsbane and you copy it and get the buff again, that can start to scale up some big advantages, as we know with leader now. But his own stat line baked in too. He could in some cases just be better than the old version of the leader if you have predicted and manipulated the locations well, because sometimes your opponent might only be playing in one location anyway. It's going to be functionally the same in that case, but you're also going to get this +4 stat line. So I do like this version of the card a lot more because it's far more strategic. It's less just of a dump it and pray and, unlosable in some cases, or a leader would just feel like, oh, the opponent did nothing. They just got all my cards on my final turn. This becomes far more tactical. You have to think a lot more. You have to set up game states a little bit better. But as far as like raw power level is concerned, I do think leader still looks pretty good here at a 6-7, but just requires some bigger brained plays, which certainly feels flavorful for leader as well. So I do think I like this change. I'm a little worried he's still going to feel too good sometimes, but at least I'll feel like the opponent had to make a good play for him to feel good, and that is definitely something. Now, on top of that, we also got a buff here to Wolverine, or at least a change. He's losing some stats here. He's going to 2 power instead of 3, but his effect is now going to allow him to scale up over time, which is pretty cool for Wolverine with his healing abilities, of course. So now Wolverine's going to read, when this is discarded or destroyed, regenerate it at a random location with +2 power. So basically the first time you discard it, he's already better as a 2-4 instead of a 2-2. But if you destroy him multiple times, he's kind of got a mini scaling a la Deadpool, but linear instead of exponential. So you can feed him into things like Venom and Carnage over and over again, and he'll just continue to get bigger, which seems like it's going to make him a great tool for destroy decks. Like, that is awesome to have this consistent body on board that just keeps contributing stats and makes your Venom potentially really big at the end of the game without sacrificing Wolverine. And unlike Deadpool, you don't have to keep replaying him. He's just there, which, you know, could get awkward sometimes from which location he lands in randomly, because he might be somewhere you don't really want to eat something. He lands next to a Carnage that's already eaten. That could be tough, but cards like Venom can often solve that problem. So I really like this version of Wolverine. It feels more flavorful for the character and gives him some real upsides. Right now, Wolverine was really, really hard to use. Not many decks could figure out ways to use him well. I think this is going to make him far more viable for some destroy decks for sure. Now, that's it for the balance changes that were in the patch, but you might be thinking, wait a minute, what about Zabu? What about Silver Surfer Regis? These cards are insane. And you're probably right about that. And in fact, one of the designers here on the second dinner team for Marvel Snap put out a preemptive tweet expecting that exact sort of question from you. And Glenn Jones wrote, the new patch includes balance changes, but not to Surfer or Zabu. They started overperforming after we locked the changes a few weeks ago. Fortunately, we now have the ability to adjust balance without a new patch. So we are planning to adjust those cards in a week or so. So if you're worried about Surfer and Zabu, it's coming soon. I'm very surprised to hear this about the overperforming part. I thought Surfer had been overperforming for months. Zabu maybe took a little longer to get up to Steam, sure. But apparently they have systems we use to review every card every week. Wong hasn't raised any concerning flags on our metrics, though he is a fundamentally strong card. While Silver Surfer has enabled strong decks since its release, what I just said, last week was only the second time its metrics exceeded any of our balance tolerances since my hire. So there you go. And there's some more stuff here, but we don't need to read through all of these. This is kind of interesting. I can't divulge our precise methodology, but we have the capacity to slice our audience into a variety of cohorts and primarily compare win rate, cube gain, and play rate for groups of cards. So that's the sort of things they're determining those certain thresholds on. Killmonger is an appropriately strong card with a healthy roll. These are actually all pretty insightful. I'm gonna keep scrolling through these. I didn't read all these responses ahead of time. So pretty cool, actually. Yeah. Oh yeah, and one other changes to cards here that's mentioned on top of the regular balance updates we already talked about is there's gonna be some text only updates. You may have noticed Wolverine used the word regenerate instead of play, because play was a really confusing word about getting put into a location without actually coming from hand. In addition to Wolverine, a few cards that use the word play in their text but don't actually play anything. This update aims to avoid players misinterpreting how these cards interact with triggers that specify playing a card. So Hela and Jubilee and I guess Sentry in some way have all been updated with a different text so that play is no longer confusing. This is a great change for consistency. There's a bunch of little stuff like this in Marvel Snap that getting cleaned up over time is definitely going to be helpful for the game. So next up, let's talk real quickly about friendly battles. A new feature here, you can now play against friends via an in-game code. Tap the game modes icon on the navigation bar and tap friendly battle to get started, which if you want to see that in action, here we go. I've got it for you. It's right here. There's a new little icon for a joystick. Apparently there's going to be other modes, because I don't think you designed this entire icon and whole little system here for only one. It would just jump right into friendly battles, right? So that's good news. You click friendly battle, you can create and get a code, generating code. I haven't done this yet. There's my match code. Boom. I'm not actually playing. You guys are gonna try to type this in. It's not gonna work, right? It's truly different every time, right? Yeah, different code every time, or you can join a game and paste your code there. The rules, if you haven't read some of the articles and stuff supporting this yet, here's the quick rules. How to win: each player starts with 10 health. Defeat your opponent by dealing 10 damage over a series of rounds. Health is basically cubes in this scenario. Winning a round deals damage to the opposing player equal to the cube value. And there are higher stakes as you play at round 5 and on. The cube starts snapped. Only one player needs to snap to reach the full 8 cubes. So you can't just like retreat and play for 1 cube forever. It eventually starts ramping things up to facilitate ending the actual game. This mode does not offer booster or ranked rewards. Otherwise, you could just farm boosters off of a second account. That makes sense to me. So that's gonna be fun. We're gonna do some viewer battles, and I'll try to line up some stuff with other streamers and so on as well. Who knows? There could even be tournaments in our future or big events in our future. But for now, probably just gonna play with you guys if you want to come watch on Twitch and try to win a chance at a friendly battle with yours truly. So that said, a few additional quality of life updates as well. You can now change your name within the avatar menu once every 30 days. Zabu has been added to Series 5. I guess also there should be some cards dropping down in Series 5 and Series 4 cards moving down. A series was announced, although it's not listed here. And then some additional stuff for player support and some new art and visual effects and lots of bug fixes. I'm not going to go through all of these, but a ton of stuff. I would say some of these are, again, kind of like bug fixes. These location updates are, again, text updates for clarity. They're not going to do anything differently, just read a little bit better. So all in all, not a huge patch, I would say, but still a pretty significant one. A couple nifty card changes. I guess battle mode's actually pretty huge. A lot of people have been looking forward to that. Opens up a lot of competitive opportunities. So a huge patch in regards to that one feature. Beyond that, perhaps not a lot of stuff, but that is a huge feature indeed. Excited to do some battle mode stuff. Excited to hear your thoughts on all these balance changes. I'm going to go hop on stream pretty soon. So thanks much, as always, for watching. And until next time, game on.